Hello, hello, hello. This is the RD Labs. Hope this is reaches you well. So just coming back to you with another episode. So basically today we're going to talk about the first Launchpad on Cardano's literally ecosystem. So there's been a absolute wave of IDOs. It seems to be the trend. And we're going to obviously discuss whether this is a saturated space or not. Obviously, this is the first launchpad on Cardano, so that it's the leader advantage in terms of this ecosystem. So let's just take a look and find out more about what they're doing. If there's some USP, some value behind it. So first and foremost, if you haven't, please make sure within the link on the description you download the RD Labs DeFi checklist. This is a checklist you can be able to go through, that we go through to be able to identify top projects to ensure we obviously mitigate risk. We minimize the chances of being rug pulled, of being scammed. This whole DeFi space is, you have to be really, really careful and cautious in terms of the projects you enter. And hence the reason why we've essentially created this checklist, which has been used by tens of thousands of people within the community right now, which I'm so happy about. I'm so chuffed. If it just helps one person, then I know that it's been meaningful and provided so much value. So this is on-page analysis in terms of basically just put the details and notes here about the product. Does the product have an MVP, no product, live product on the mainnet? Then you'll give your points. Then is it a pre-sale? More information about a company, if they lock liquidity, if this is currently going through the listings, tokenomic structure, any partnerships, then links in terms of whether it's on Etherscan, Binance Scan, for example, then team tokens, trying to understand more about the tokens, when would it unlock if it's already listed, or what are the plans when it's not listed, is there like a cliff period, smart and staking contract vulnerabilities, so this is the coding aspect, just making sure that there are no vulnerabilities, no chances of a potential like minting function, for example, they're not doing staking, and all these different areas that you need to be aware of, right? Then known who's it been audited by, has it done by the leaders in the space, RD auditors, yes, that's our sister company, yes, as a disclaimer, or static or chain security or solidity, for example. Then repo, take a look at GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. Want to just really understand more about when you go into the repositories, when was the last deployment, the commits, are the developers active, extremely important, and so on and so forth. It goes down, right? So let's get straight to it. So here it goes, Cardano Smart DeFi Layer by OCC. So it already shows that this project has been listed because you can obviously buy. So let's find out more. When you scroll down, what I'll do is I'll literally pull up this deck so you can have a better understanding. I actually quite like the website, to be honest. I love this look and feel of the site. So let's just quickly go through this. It seems the first page is blank, or unless it's just mine. Or maybe it's just got this information here. Then it has here each layer 1 platform. So requires primary, secondary market infrastructure to catalyst on-chain liquidity. Largest and most prominent layer 1 platform. Okay. So OccamFi is a decentralized launchpad, so built upon Cardano's ecosystem. Then they obviously have their OccamX, which is their token. So uniting all the DeFi use cases under a single DAO layer. So we'll say here, institutional backing, finance. I'm just scrolling down just to understand more about the project. And as I'm doing this, I would actually also correlate to the RD Labs checklist, yes? So I'm taking a look at the website, more information, does it give the substance behind it? Then I'll go through engagement of Twitter, right? So I'm going through all of these different points. So then I'm just going through here. It says here, 3,000 ideas. DeFi market cap, 65 billion and growing, right? So they're really just trying to see the opportunities in the space. So layer 1 solutions and DeFi ecosystem here, Polkadot 30 billion, Binance 34, that's obviously changed. I don't know when they did this. This was back in March, was it? So March the 8th, so yeah, it's gone. So they should update this document. Then basically gives you information about boosting on-chain liquidity as now. So just going on about the limitations with Ethereum scalability, massive amount of ADL liquidity currently unutilized, okay? So they're trying to utilize the liquidity from Cardano and pipe that in within a mechanism. So 16 billion ADA in free circulation, 22.7 billion staked for POS purposes. Okay. So now core features, light user-friendly UI with access to all blockchain features. Okay. And then the product here, centralized fundraising paradigms, cost inefficient AMM-based vehicles. So basically I'm scrolling through it. I'm just skimming through it, but I'll then go through more of a search, right? Understand about project owners, pool validation, then pool participation, then what they have as a, in terms of algorithms, flat swaps, auction swaps, hybrid swaps. So they've got quite an interesting, let's say, direction that they want to take with this. So obviously what happens is liquidity mining, so you're pooling, so we know that, association. Cool. So essentially, they've obviously done the fundraising, they've listed already. If you go to CoinGecko, you can clearly see that they listed, when was this? Maybe April times. So this is where they're trading at the moment. So it's generally, what is it? Currently trading about $13, has a 50 million market cap. But what it seems like, obviously with the news, and what I like to do is I'm going to just go to their Twitter just to really find out more in terms of, so they're based in Switzerland, complete KYC. Just what I do is find out more in terms of when they actually announced this, right? And then where they are today. So obviously DeFi seems to be the first IDO on their Launchpad. And I guess the Launchpad will basically announce, announcement there, so May the 21st, so in a few days. So basically DeFi raises 5 million pre-IDO funding round to bring DeFi onto Cardano. Cool. So what they actually do is that a lot of these projects, it seems to be they're raising funding pre-IDO, then they come on Launchpad, then they're obviously having this whole community ADA behind them, right? Behind this. So what I'm seeing now is it'll be interesting to see how well they do with this. Obviously, they now have their own Launchpad. That's fine. For me, it's always about what is the USP. Because yes, on ADA, that they're obviously the first, but can they really scale? And the reason why I say this is not picking at Occam in terms of what they're doing, but just really in terms of the whole space at the moment. So what I basically did is I just pulled up a chart here. So this is from Crypto DeFi. This basically shows you the upcoming events that's taking place in the space, what they know of, right? Because there's thousands more, right? But what they believe are credible, right? Or maybe they have some form of marketing or partnerships with them. I don't know. But basically since 17th of May, all the way till June, what you can see here, and let me just go through this. SushiSwap will release its own Launchpad, MISO. Then MILC platform, so that's a double IDO on Zendit and BSC Pad. Then Knit Finance, so DAO Maker. Then you got MoMA, which is an IDO on GenPad, right? Then Ethermoon on IDO on Polkastar. So 90% of these listings are on IDOs. Now, this is all good and well for the IDO or the platform in terms of people would essentially have to stake a certain amount of money, then have an allocation. But we know of, I'm not going to name any names, but certain IDOs where you have to literally put in, for example, to have a certain allocation, you have to put in $10, $15, $20,000 to get like a one BNB allocation. It does not make sense. The maths do not work long term. And as this whole space becomes more competitive and saturated and all of these ecosystems start having launchpads, I truly believe there has to be a USP. It doesn't, I'm not saying that the whole launchpad era is over, no, but you need to have some form of a unique selling proposition, an offering that's going to set you apart from the others. And what I mean is not just focusing just on launchpad, but building around the ecosystem. Like, for example, you have BSC Starter, right? BSC Starter have a launchpad, but then they're building around it. They're coming out with the Vest IDO, which is, smart contracts based on vesting schedules. So they're building around the whole ecosystem with different areas to supplement and provide some form of value. Make sense? Then you've got Walt, right? Walt Finance. They have a Launchpad, but what they're doing is they have a DEX called WEX. They have a liquidity locker, so they have all these different old utilities that's building around the Launchpad. That makes them unique, right? So these are the type of things that we're thinking about. What sets you apart? Do you have something as an offering? Do you have a vetting team behind your Launchpad that's going to go through the process? What's the deal flow? Is the tokenomics right, specifically to enable access for the lower, let's say, people that have a certain amount of capital that they want to deploy for these projects? I truly believe there's going to be a total flushing of these Launchpads, and the top of the top will rise. Cream will rise to the top, as they say. And it will only be those that are building a very, very strong ecosystem around the Launchpad will win. That's my ultimate belief. And that means from all the way, not just from Launchpad, but really going down from the grassroots aspect. How are you vetting before you launch these projects? How are you going through the vetting process? What due diligence is being done? As we said here, look at the due diligence we do. We cover all the steps before. We have 9 researchers within our RD Familia, our group, which focus on early stage projects, right? And then these projects that we look at investing from pre-sale, from angel, from seed, from pre-sale round. And also we provide support. So what these Launchpads need to look at is some of these projects that they're listing, like DeFi. So if we pull up DeFi, let's go to DeFi, for example, DeFi. So Hub for Optimal On-Chain Execution. So what they basically have is they have more or less a couple of pages, right? So the question is to stand out with a lot of these projects that they're onboarding for IDOs, one needs to see something tangible, i.e. at least the MVP. There needs to be some strong support in terms of having a community, a vibrant, engaged community. They have to really provide something that's unique. So let's just see here, Hub for Optimal On-Chain Execution. So documents, let's find out more. So you've got a DEX, let's go to the DEX here. So accelerated space, direct and rooted, volume. There's still a lot of optimization opportunity. So my question will be straight away is, do you have a product? Is it being utilized by certain people? What's the value proposition, right? Why stake? Yes, yes, we understand liquidity is extremely important. LP liquidity pool is really the essence. But we've got to a stage now in 2021, we have to look beyond just staking an LP, right? We have to look at what else can you differentiate. Why? Because if it's just about LP and staking, farmers will literally hop from one to the next looking for the highest rewards, APRs, APYs that they can really generate as much as possible, be the first to the party, then harvest and dump on the price and then move on to the next one. So what are you providing that's going to essentially lock, and this is going out to these projects, what are you providing that's also going to lock them and ensure that you're having the holders that are staying long-term for your projects, right? So maybe this is me just going on a bit of a rant. I just thought I can really just provide some form of value to just really show that I believe there's going to be a massive change in the whole space. And we're really working on aspects within RD Familia, our group, and being prepared for this change that we believe is going to happen within the next few months. And that means there are only going to be let's just say, not a monopoly, not a duopoly, but I think there'll probably be 3 or 4 main players in this space. And it'll be those that will ensure that there's a lower barrier of entry that will enable a large amount of holders to be able to utilize their platform and have access. And in addition to that, having a really strict and structured vetting process that will enable the whole onboarding. And this is why I see this whole market moving to, and a seamless approach to when these IDOs are onboarded, they have tangible products that are ready to go, that's going to have a meaningful impact, except from just the standard staking and LP, right? So anyway, that's just me just going off of one. If you have any questions, please make sure you download this free checklist. We're doing quite a lot within our ecosystem. There's a lot we're coming out with also. So if you have any questions, please let me know and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.